felt the need to shoot this video because a lot has changed since the last video I shot. You would have seen I was making a lot of, maybe around 4 videos a week actually at that point. And I actually stopped for a period of time, and admittedly I just felt that there was things in my life that I wanted to really focus on. I didn't really feel like I was in a position to want to teach anything. I felt like it was a very big portion of my life where I wanted to apply certain things that I of course spoke about, but I think I felt to a degree that I wasn't truly embodying to the level that I really wanted with these areas, and I created a lot of doubt in myself in that phase of my life, and it was actually quite challenging. Like, I won't lie, there was relationship issues I was going through, there were definitely career pivots that I was making as well, and I just didn't really feel the need to try to always be that teacher all the time, and I just felt like, I think it's a time now to just go and build in silence and come back a different version. And a lot has changed since then. We moved into a really nice place here, different circle, different friends, still friends with the old friends, but just a lot has changed, and mindset has changed a lot. Currently not in that previous relationship, which is totally fine, but there was just a lot of things that I realized, and I had to go through different ways of viewing life and test ways of living, so to speak, to see what I truly resonated with. And it's very funny, like when you're young, like I'm 27, I'm still young, but when I was like 20, 22, I was very big on like discipline, go in, all in, every single day, like maximize every single moment, get up, do the cold showers, doing all of those things. And it was great. I had this amazing drive and level of confidence that I could achieve anything. And when I went through a period of my life where I was open to not having to, grit through every single way, and I was exploring spirituality and things like that, which was great, but it also confused me. Like, a lot of the things that I had, lived by, and certain staples of, getting up at this time, straight away, bursting out of bed, doing the routine, and I was doing fitness coaching at the time. I'd been coaching in the fitness space for at least 7 years, and I think when I delved into spirituality, I changed my perspective. I realized I had a lot of traumas that I had not processed and really dealt with effectively, and I guess work for me was it was an outlet. It was an outlet for me to, I created this belief that a certain level of success or, financial wealth would fix all my problems. And I realized that it wouldn't. And there was a whole lot of hustling and stuff like that I was doing that was coming from this pain that I had of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, thinking that it was going to give me love and connection in my life, thinking I could buy it and, have a certain level of status, and that's going to bring me the connection that I wanted. And I didn't realize in so many ways that it was creating a lot of separation. And that actually even happened in my relationship. It was showing up. I was so individualistic with my mindset that I didn't have that team mentality, because all I ever knew was looking out for myself, trying to, succeed and ignore other people. And it was very paradoxical. I always told myself that I was doing that for people, but the reality was it was completely contradicting the life that I wanted. And when I realized that, I think it shook a lot of things up for me, and I changed paths career-wise and things like that, and then I lost that sense of discipline. I became very confused, and I felt lost, honestly. I didn't know what to do with my life. And that was happening for a period of months, almost up to a year, where I really just didn't feel like I had clarity, and I questioned things that showed up in my relationship a lot. That created tension as well, having a lack of clarity. Meeting me in that peak of my hustle phase with this level of certainty, she was like, oh yeah, he's got some things that he can work on, but at least he's got that direction. And I think when I went through that period and that direction left, it was a big shock. It was like, what's happened? And I think for a lot of guys too, that's a scary thing for them, because the last thing a guy wants is to appear weak or to appear like they're incapable. And I won't lie, I definitely felt that at times in that relationship. But fast forward a couple months, I think I really realized like the value of, and of course I knew it before, discipline, commitment, things like that, having responsibilities, but going through different levels of, I guess, ways of living life, and then going through spirituality, focusing on, I guess, addressing traumas and things that I hadn't addressed, and focusing more on like that very love connection phase of my life, but not focusing on career so much. I really realized also the value in committing to things, also the value in discipline and not having too much freedom, so to speak. And when I say that, I mean like such a lack of structure that you almost just feel like, you know, you're floating every day, and you don't really have a cause that you can commit yourself to that gives you that sense of drive and ambition. And I realize like I do value that. I really value feeling like I'm working towards something. And you know, now we're at a point where, you know, I'm based in Australia. There was a cyclone that happened, and the cyclone kind of put everything on pause. It had forced, it was right around the time where the relationship was ending, and then pretty much career-wise I was pivoting into sales really hard. I've always been pretty, not always, but I've been pretty good at sales for quite a long time, and I coached it and things like that. So the relationship ended, then I moved houses. I'm living here right now. It's amazing. But also I pivoted harder to sales, and all of those things that back then that I was practicing, I'm recognizing now the value of it, but also that connection is really important to maintain through that. Whereas so in the first phase of my life, I think I was so, you know, mission driven without the connection, and that felt like a void. And then I was too far one way, like focused on connection without the something to work towards. And now it's like this connection and this combination of the two, which I felt like was a really nice combination. And I'm, you know, reintroducing that sense of discipline, sense of routine, things to commit yourself to. And more importantly as well, I mean, regardless of all the nice stuff, really recognizing it doesn't even really matter that much. And it's not that I wouldn't strive for it. Like, I love nice things. You know, I like having a nice car. I like having a nice place to live at. But if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not proud of yourself and how you're living, if you don't respect who you are, like the things that you really respect and value, if you don't see that in yourself, none of this means anything. At least that's my personal experience. Like, it just feels totally irrelevant, because there's this deep sense of unsatisfaction within yourself. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you know, you can have all the nice things, and you know, you can obsess over things outside of yourself, like let's say your relationship with this person, or like the level of success that you're focusing on. But really what it's reminded me going through all these different phases of my life is like, hey Will, are you proud of yourself? You know, like if you look at you, are you really proud of the man you are? Like the characteristics you portray, how you show up, how you respond to things, what you do, how you think. Are you actually proud of that version of you? And I think that's the conversations that I'm having with myself now. And it's not that, you know, we never knew that stuff, but there's a big difference between knowing and applying, and not letting yourself slip and slide. I think that has been the biggest thing across all these different phases of my life. I mean, I was on this personal development journey, so to speak, since the age of anywhere from like 15 when I started working out, and then 17 I was a bit more on the business side. And it's just so simple where it comes down to. It's like, do I respect me? Am I showing up how I want at every level? And that could mean how I'm showing up in business, how I think in relationships, what kind, you know, how I treat people. Do I treat people well? And I think if you can really tick that box and be proud of yourself and who you are, it's like naturally you're going to be doing things that you value, right? You'll be living in alignment to your values, and naturally those actions will start producing more of those results. And that's pretty much it, you know? So yeah, I felt the need to rant a little bit. I guess, share some of this. I hope it helps in any kind of way. It really feels like things have come back full circle a little bit, and the funny thing about different phases of life is you always kind of return back to yourself, and you're like, that's why that's important. That's why that's important. And you don't really realize sometimes until you fuck up, and maybe you step away from it and you see the detriment. So that's just been my personal experience. I hope that provides any kind of insight. If not, no stress. Enjoy the view. So catch you in the next one.